Here's a wild fact. The American cowboy, that tough, rugged icon of the West, wasn't even invented in America. Nope. His boots, hat, lasso, and even the word buckaroo, all borrowed from the Mexican vaquero. And the reality of cowboy life? Well, it's a whole lot less shootouts and a whole lot more sore backsides. Today, we're unpacking the real evolution of the cowboy, from humble horse wranglers to global pop culture legends. When you picture a cowboy, you probably imagine spurs jingling, a revolver on the hip, and a dusty showdown at high noon. But the truth? The cowboy was basically the 19th century version of a gig worker, underpaid, overworked, and almost always exhausted. In this class, we'll ride through cowboy origins, their rise in the cattle boom, how Hollywood mythologized them, and where they are today. Saddle up, let's hit the trail. Our story begins in the 1500s, when Spanish colonists brought horses and cattle to the Americas. Out of this came the Vaquero, expert horsemen who wrangled cattle across the wide open spaces of Mexico. They wore broad-brimmed hats, heavy leather leggings, and carried the la reata, what we know today as the lariat or lasso. The Vaquero taught cow handling to Native Americans, who quickly became some of the best riders in the world. Even the gear has Spanish roots. The saddle horn, spurs, and chaps, short for chaparreras. And that word buckaroo? Yep, it's just a cowboy-twanged version of vaquero. So before John Wayne ever swung into the saddle, the cowboy was already centuries old, and distinctly multicultural. Flash forward to the mid-1800s. The Civil War ends, cities in the East are hungry for beef, and Texas has millions of cattle basically roaming free. Enter the American cowboy. From 1866 to the 1890s, cowboys drove herds of thousands up trails like the Chisholm Trail to Kansas railheads. It was grueling work, 12-14 hours a day in the saddle, storms, stampedes, rattlesnakes, and the occasional cattle thief. Pay? About $30.40 a month, less than a modern Starbucks barista. Oh, and forget the Hollywood image of the lone white gunslinger. Cowboys were diverse. Around 1 in 4 were black, many were Mexican vaqueros, and Native Americans played a huge role too. They didn't duel in the streets. They were more likely to duel with boredom and bad beans. Still, this was the golden age of the American cowboy, the era that planted the seeds of the legend. But here's where things get interesting. The cowboy went from cattle worker to global superstar. Starting in the 1880s, Buffalo Bill Cody's Wild West shows toured America and Europe, turning cowboys into living theater. Cowboys roped steers, staged mock battles, and wowed royal audiences. The myth was born, tough, independent, free. Then came Hollywood. John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, spaghetti westerns, all crafted the cowboy into the ultimate symbol of rugged American individualism. The hat, the swagger, the gunslinger stare, it was box office gold. But the reality? Most cowboys spent their nights sleeping under the stars, their days avoiding stampedes, and their trigger fingers pulling beans out of the pot, not revolvers out of holsters. Cowboys didn't vanish, they evolved. Today, ranching is still alive in Texas, Montana, and Wyoming. Modern cowboys use ATVs, drones, and barbed wire to manage herds, but the skills, roping, branding, and horsemanship, remain. And then there's rodeo, America's only true homegrown sport. Cowboys turned their day jobs into competition. Bronc riding, bull riding, barrel racing. Even in pop culture, the cowboy rides on. Country music stars, the Marlboro Man, fashion runways with cowboy boots, and influencers in wide-brimmed hats. The cowboy is still shorthand for grit, freedom, and rebellion. From vaqueros to viral TikToks, the cowboy keeps evolving, but the legend never dies. So let's review. Cowboys weren't born in Hollywood. They came from Spanish vaqueros. They rose with the cattle drives of the 1800s, got mythologized by Wild West shows and movies, and live on today as both working ranchers and cultural icons. The real cowboy story isn't about duels at high noon. It's about cultural exchange, backbreaking work, and a symbol that's changed with every generation. And next time, we'll bust another myth of the Wild West. If you enjoyed this ride, hit like and subscribe.